in Sydney, and welcome to today's interview in our Woman Who Creates series. My purpose behind these interviews is to inspire women to go out and create the life they want for themselves, and to show them that there are many possibilities and opportunities surrounding us. Today's guest is Suzie De Jonge. So welcome, Suzie. It is such a privilege to have you here with us. So Suzie is the founder of Beautifully Selfish. She is based in the Gold Coast of Australia. She is an expert in helping women identify and eliminate limiting beliefs, allowing them to reshape their lives. Beautifully Selfish is a unique experience of coaching, mentoring, along with rapid transformational therapy, created exclusively for the real-life woman who may be struggling in some way, to help them find their place in the world and to realise that they are enough just as they are, helping them to rediscover joy and to get excited about the future. You also said that you've put together a video training series to further help women with the 10 top blocks to happiness that may be holding them back or causing them pain in their life. Having dealt with your own challenging life issues that relate to you going through a divorce, raising a child on your own, and being responsible financially and emotionally for their upbringing, but all the while dealing with self-doubt, not feeling enough, feeling stuck, the loss of a loved one, and running your business, all the while trying to appear as if you had it all together and you had all the answers, when in fact, sometimes you would just rather have stayed in bed and pulled the covers over top of you. So this progressed to suffering with anxiety and depression, which culminated in a breakdown, all from your own thinking that you had to prove to the world that you were this perfect, strong, responsible woman who had everything under control. I loved how you said you just wanted to go to bed and pull the covers over your head. I have said that many times, and I know lots of women will be able to relate to that scenario. But I always find great things come from our challenges if we are open to finding a better answer, and this is just what you've done. You say your life changed when you discovered and trained in rapid transformational therapy that was created by world-renowned psychotherapist Marissa Peer. So Suzie, can you tell us more about this amazing process and what it can do for us?
Yes, and thank you so much, Karen, for that introduction. I hope it let people know a little bit more about me and that I'm just like everyone else. We're all the same. These are just wrappings and we're all the same underneath. So, yes, I discovered RTT at a time in my life when I was feeling very lost and not sure what my purpose was. And I think a lot of men as well, but a lot of women go through that at a time in their lives when their children are growing up, if they have children, and they finally have this time to themselves and they think, what now? What do I want to do? What makes me happy? And I could not articulate that, and it was really painful. I was blessed that a friend shared a video with me of Marissa Peer, who's the founder of Rapid Transformational Therapy, and it was all about the subject of the world's greatest disease affecting humanity, and that is I'm not enough. People doubting themselves, doubting their, I'm too old, I'm not smart enough, I'm not intelligent enough, I'm not pretty enough, I'm not interesting enough, all these self-doubts that we have. And something just snapped in me when I saw that video. It just really changed my life. And I instantly went on and Googled everything I could about Marissa and the therapy. And this is about 3 years ago. And, as the universe does, it sent me a sign that she'd actually decided to start teaching her therapy. And there was the pilot course of online students. And I went, that's it, I'm going to become a therapist. I had no background. And I went on and they were having 100 students and they were full and they decided to accept me. So I was 101.
Isn't it amazing when things are sent to you at the right time?
Yeah, absolutely. So rapid transformational therapy is a form of therapy which is different than traditional therapy, and there's nothing wrong with traditional therapy. Different things work for different people. But as it says, it's a form of therapy that really quickly gets down to the root cause of your issue or your problem or your block, anything that's causing you pain or anxiety or frustration. And we do it through a process of, it's like a hybrid of a couple of different therapies. So CBT, cognitive behavioural therapy, NLP, neuro-linguistic programming, which I'm sure most people have heard of these, and hypnosis. So what it does is we put people in a really relaxed state and talk to their subconscious. It's kind of like putting your conscious mind to rest. And when you're in that state, we're able to regress back to whatever the cause of your issue is. And once you can understand that in hypnosis, it's really, really powerful. And then I do a personalised recording for the clients to play at least for 3 weeks, because that's what it takes to reprogram your mind. It's all about the way we talk to ourselves, Karen. It's all about the words that we say to ourselves and the pictures that we form in our mind. And I've had amazing results. Like 1 to 3 sessions is all that's required. It helps people speed through the process of their pain so they heal quicker. And it's just amazing. I'm just so grateful that I stumbled across it.
Well, I always think when things come along and it turns out when you decide to do it and it all works out easily and effortlessly, I always believe it's meant to be. So just like you were accepted and you were 101, that they were only taking 100, like I look at that as, well, yes, it was meant to be that I'm doing this, because it just works out, doesn't it? When it's really hard and you're pushing and you're trying to change things, sometimes you've got to stop and just look and ask some different questions. Is this really for me, or is there a different way that I can do this? And that's what I've always found. The things that are right for you just happen. And so wasn't it great that you did stumble along that and it's changed your life? And now you're changing the life of lots of other people. But it is honestly, it's our words and our thoughts and what we see. And I say to people, you've got to watch those words you're saying to yourself and think, would you talk to your best friend like that? Would you say all that?
Oh, no.
And you wouldn't have any friends if you treated them the way you treat yourself. And that's why it's really important that you've got to just stop and take a look, and you've got to learn to put that line in the sand and stop, isn't it, when you're beating yourself up, and just think, well, how else can I do this?
Yeah, and I think too, even just the words you used before about when we use words like push through things, like that word is painful and it doesn't inspire you to move forward. It's so just purely changing the words that we use. I know it sounds really simple, but it works. And that's why, doing this process and continually hearing the words and the beliefs that you want, continually hearing them, they just end up replacing the ones that aren't working for you anymore.
I think beliefs is a big thing that you need to work on, and that are in your subconscious, because a lot of those beliefs are learned beliefs from other people along through your childhood. And you don't realise that there. They say, the first 7 years of our life is a very significant time, and we form a lot of our beliefs then that are in our subconscious, but they're not our beliefs.
No, it's like, I kind of explain it like we absorb everything and we think that it's ours. And then you get to a point when you do start this self-discovery and trying to work out why things aren't the way you want. And then you really address it. And that happened when I got my first coach. I mean, I've had quite a few coaches now, and it just changed my life. I never knew what a coach did, but now I just continually go, keep upgrading. And when people challenge you and you look at it and you think, oh, yeah, I do that. Like mine was, as I'm sure a lot of women who were born in the 60s, was it mattered what other people thought, because that's how I was brought up. You can't do that. What will people think, And I could look back over my life and see how that belief had shaped the decisions, not always good ones, in my whole life. And then when my coach said to me, you know, when she brought it up and I looked at it and I went, oh my gosh, I've been doing that my whole life, but that's not how I felt. That was just how I was brought up, and I'm not going to do it anymore. I don't care now. I mean, I care about people's feelings, but I don't let it run my life and my decisions. They're my decision. And that's what I try and share with my clients, as I'm sure you do.
Yes.
Try and identify, what is this belief? If your life is not going in the direction that you want, what may that belief be that's holding you back, that's not yours?
Exactly. And that'd be the number one thing that I actually say to all my clients, because they do all have this kind of issue. And I say, well, you know, you're not that child now. You're the adult, and so you've got to look at these beliefs and challenge it and decide on what you actually believe and what your values are. But the number one thing I say to them, and I say it over and over again, it's what anyone else thinks about you is none of your business. And when you actually really, really, truly get that, it is life-changing, because, yes, you care about people's feelings. You're still being a nice, kind person.
Yeah, absolutely.
But you don't take on board what they might be saying about you. So it's stopping that thinking. It's like, well, yes, what they think about or saying about you isn't any of your business. So you just concentrate on what it is that you want and the person you want to be. And it really, really is life-changing. Because you ask people their biggest fear, like, why is public speaking a big fear? It's because they're worried about what everyone's thinking about them. So, you know, and ask yourself, if you didn't worry what anyone was thinking about you, what would you want to do?
But half the time they're not thinking about us anyway.
Absolutely not. No, they're probably sitting in the chair thinking, I wish I could be as brave as them and up on that stage doing that. You know, they're not thinking. You don't sit there and critically think that about people when you're watching them do. You always think, wow, look at their courage, and, you know, they're brave, and your thoughts are always behind them of what they're doing.
Yeah.
But, you know, also what you say about, you know, how important a coach is in your life. And that's what I say to people. I look at top sports people, and all their characteristics and traits are great ones to have in business. And also, they don't get to the top of their game and say, okay, goodbye, coach. I don't need a coach anymore. At the top of the game, they still have a coach. They're never without a coach. You wouldn't see their top sports teams going, even though they might win every game they go out, they wouldn't go out and not have a coach.
No, that's like with RTT as well. Once you clear those things, then it gives you more opportunities and space to grow, and there's nothing better than that. And with a lot of the things that the clients come to me with the therapy, it's never about what you think it's about, because if we knew what it was, we'd fix it ourselves. But there's always things that go back to maybe a childhood thing. For example, public speaking. If someone comes to me with an issue with public speaking, it could go back to a time when, you know, they were at school, at the school play, they stood up, they fluffed their lines, everyone laughed at them, and then their mind's gone, well, my job is to protect you from pain, and that caused you pain. So next time you get in that position where you've got to stand up at the meeting and give a presentation, your mind goes, no, remember you did this last time, and I'm not going to put you through that pain again. So instantly, you know, you have a migraine or you get sick. So it's being able to identify these things and taking away the power of them. It is just, I mean, it's like, you know, emotional eating. When people come to me with weight, it's never about food. So a lot of our issues are never about what we really think they are. They're buried deep down inside us. That's why this is so powerful.
Because otherwise you're just wasting your life. And that's why, to have coaching and a mentor, you get what you want so much faster. Yes, you might get there eventually and get what you want, but it might be a lot more years down the track. So why waste your time getting there? With a coach and mentor, you get to the place you want to be much, much faster. And so you get on with what you actually want to do. Because as you say, it's always those limiting beliefs that are holding you back. And so if you can do some processes and get to the bottom of it, it's even the great questioning that a coach will ask you. They'll ask you questions that you haven't thought of. And yes, it can be very challenging, but it makes you look inside and find an answer. And so then you can come up, you're like, oh, wow, I didn't realize that. And you can come up with the changes and get on with what you want to do. And, you just, and it's having that accountability and being answerable to someone, isn't it?
Absolutely.
You've got to get back on a certain date with what you've done, well, you do it. But otherwise you just, you talk yourself out of it and you procrastinate. But you can that's another way of getting it done faster, because you're answerable to your coach and you must have it done by this time. It's very, very important to have that in our life if we want to progress faster and get the things we actually want to do, if it's something's been holding us back. So the other thing that you mentioned was there's 10 top blocks to happiness. So can you tell us about that and how we can recognise these blocks? Is there any way we can see this ourselves?
Yeah. Oh, look, I love this, and it sounds so simple, but I would say I know women really well. I know the way we think, and I know the way we put ourselves down and the things that we do. So, yes, I came up with this list of the top 10 blocks to happiness and how to shatter them, because, and I'm sure you do regularly with your clients. I mean, I work with men too, but I work predominantly with women. So I put together a list, and I've done a video series, and you can see it on my YouTube channel, Beautifully Selfish. But I'll just quickly run through them. And in the videos, I give the signs that you might have fallen into these patterns or beliefs and how to change them. So I made it really simple. So number one was others' opinions, which we've just been talking about, because that's a big one that holds people back. They just are paralysed. So they end up doing nothing. And then they get resentful and they beat themselves up. Procrastinating, like you said, is a huge one. And procrastination is never about the task at hand. It's a form of anxiety. And that's, I know, holds a lot of people back. And now this next one is really aimed at women, saying yes when we really want to say no, and how that can suck the life out of you and also get you resentful again. Living in the past or the future, but not living in the now. What's that famous saying? Lao Tzu, I think it is. If you live in the past, you're depressed. If you're living in the future, you're anxious. And if you're living in the present, you're at peace. Something like that. So that's blaming other people. Now, as we know, with being coaches and being coached, we have to take 100% responsibility for our lives. If you keep blaming other people for not being where you want to be, you're always going to stay stuck. Negative self-talk, like we just said before, the words that you say to yourself, would you say them to your daughter? Would you say them to your best friend? The destination syndrome, aka I'll be happy when. And that's not to say that we're bad people. These are just things that we do that we mightn't realise that we're doing. Judging others. And the thing is that if we're judging others, I can bet you anything they're judging us as well. Stinking thinking, I call, or catastrophising. Putting ourselves into the future of things that haven't even happened yet with the worst case scenario. And finally, a huge one in social media, comparison. They're just things that I see, as I'm sure you do, that come up all the time. That they're just so powerful when you shift them. That one that I had of worrying about what other people thought, when I let that go, my life changed. It absolutely changed. I felt so much lighter and everything was just easier. And I know they are simple things, but they are powerful.
And they are issues, as you say, repeatedly come up that most people have some of them, and it's a great one, like living in the moment. You got to realize the past is over. So if you've done something wrong and it upset you, well, let it go, because you can't change it. But if it's really important, well, you do something about it and change it. But stop going back there, beating yourself up, living in it, because it's over. The minute something's over, it's over. It's in the past. And yes, don't worry about the future. A lot of people stress about what if this happens, but it's like, what if it doesn't happen? You don't know that it's going to happen, so stop worrying about it now. You got to deal with it now. And yes, they forget to really think about this beautiful day they're in and notice anything that's around them and all the good things. So if you show some gratitude, that's what I say. Look at the beautiful sunny day that we've got here in New Zealand, and you've got one there too. You're saying it's 30 degrees. So, which is awesome. So, you've got to enjoy all these things and notice them about your day, and all the good things that are actually happening for you. And I think it's really good too to stop at the end of your day and write some things down. Really stop and think what has happened for you today, and bring it into your awareness, because there's always lots of things. But when you're just busy, rush, and thinking about, tomorrow, well, you're just not enjoying today. How often do you hear people say, oh, it's Monday, I can't wait for Friday? It's...
And we have no control, Karen, over the future. We're silly to think that we do, because we don't. We can't control everything. We can't control the weather. We can't, we really don't have control over things. And so letting that go is a really, really good thing.
Powerful. So, like, if you keep in today and make great decisions today from being aware and grateful and having the presence of mind, well, then your future will be better. Then because you're actually working on stuff that's important in this day and making good decisions for your future and changes that you might want to make to get to a certain point. Yes, it's all right having a goal that you can see a way out in the future, but you're never going to get it if you don't do something about it today.
Action.
You've got to take those action steps towards it, else you'll never get that future, because that time in another year is going to come no matter what you do. So if you do nothing, you're going to be, like you say at the beginning, have these New Year's resolutions, but at the end of the year, you get there and you haven't done any of them because you've been too busy. You never focus on the day and taking action steps. So as we all know, without action, if you don't make any changes, nothing changes. So stay in your present and concentrate on what's actually happening, and learn to notice, say some thank yous and smile at people and notice what's going on around you in your day, doesn't it? It's just so important to do, and then you really notice so much, and you're just a lot more grateful. And it's about and then that awareness of giving to people. You might notice something more, that someone needs a help, open the door for them, carry a bag for them. I was just so grateful the other day. I was struggling with some things, and this lady, she was biking past on a bike, and she was an elderly lady, but she stopped and got off and helped me carry my stuff to the car.
Oh, isn't that lovely?
Yeah, and I was like, wow.
It makes you feel important too, doesn't it?
I was like, thank you so much. Can't believe you stopped and got off your bike. And she goes, oh, no, thought you're struggling there. And so, that was just lovely. And so when you're in that awareness, you see those things, don't you? But if you're fine, stressed and in this panic about tomorrow and in the future, you don't even notice anything that's happening around you.
I kind of say, it's like, don't take yourself so seriously and get out of our own way, because we're really good at getting in our own way. Well, I was.
Yeah.
So now I don't take myself so seriously and everything around me. And
so you see that people can see that on your YouTube channel.
Yes.
That videos.
Video 10 video series. Yes, I'd love
it. So it's called that on the series, the top 10.
Yes, it is. Top 10 blocks to happiness and how to smash them.
Okay. Well, there you go, everyone. There's something good. Go out and look at that when we finish this, and do some work on yourself, and that will help change your life as well. You said you also you decided to redesign your life so that you can make the rest of your life the best of your life, and now it is your mission to pay that forward by helping others. So how are you doing this other than what you've just shared with us? You've got the video series, but what else might you be doing?
Well, I do standalone therapy sessions, but I also do coaching, mentoring. I do motivational, inspirational speaking, I should say. I really want to help as many people who are in pain and just to enjoy their lives. So, yeah, I work in a couple of different ways with people that they can see on my website. I'm also really interested, if I can just share really quickly, Karen, something that I've stumbled across that has changed my life recently, and I really want to integrate this into my work with others too, is something that I've found called a book by a doctor over in, I think she's in Canada, and it's all about something called childhood emotional neglect. And because I see a lot of damaged people in the work that I do, trying to help them heal, you know, we often think that that we have to go through trauma. Trauma affects, it's like a traumatic incident or something like that, which would naturally change your life, impact on your life. But often the time, it's growing up and not receiving certain things as well that can really affect and impact on our lives. And I know personally that this has happened to me. And it's not about blaming parents. It's about recognising what the situation is and then working through it and changing it. But I just wrote a couple of different things down. And this is what I found. And my issue my whole life, and I mean, I know I come across as friendly and personable, and I am one-on-one, but I really struggle with going to like networking, I hate that word, networking events, because I've felt most of my life really disconnected. Like I could be in a room full of people, and this goes back to school, I can even remember this now, and feel like I'm on the outside looking in. So I was really interested in why that I was that way. And with the research that I've been doing, it goes back to a lot of the way that we were brought up. And we've got to remember, as I said, when it's not blaming our parents, because they lived what they learnt, and it's just handed down. But there's lots of different type of parenting that can cause scars on people as they move forward in their life. So it could be like a narcissistic parent, and I know that word gets thrown around a lot. What that means is a parent that was more focused on their own happiness than their children, maybe because they didn't know how to show love. So their childhood of someone brought up by a parent like that is that they're always walking on eggshells and trying to please, because if they don't, that love is withdrawn from them. There's also an authoritarian parent, you know, military style. And if you follow their rules, then they feel loved. But if you don't, they don't, and that impacts on you. There's also, you know, parents who might have been depressed, who might have been addicted, who were workaholics. So maybe a child rarely sees their parent. And that, I know neglect sounds like a really harsh word, but that could be that when that child really needed attention in their formative years, they needed love, they needed affection, they didn't get it. And they're the things that impact us, and we carry forward into our relationships with our partners, our friends, our children. There's also the parents who demanded perfectionism and high achieving. And that can be a really big thing for someone to have that burden, or it could just be well-meaning parents, but they were neglected themselves, so they couldn't give what they didn't have. So I'm really interested in exploring this because I see this a lot in my clients. So, yeah, I just found it was just like a light switch when I heard this. How can I use this to help other people?
Yes, I think, you know, as we've talked about earlier, you know, what happens to us as children has a big, that's in our subconscious, has a big effect on us as adults if we don't deal with it. You know, because children that they say that have been abused, or, you know, they haven't had great childhoods, they don't hate their parents, they don't stop loving their parents, they stop loving themselves. So
Exactly.
children turn that blame to themselves very easily, that they must have done something
Absolutely.
wrong, and their parent, they can't upset their parent, and as you say, they're having to walk around tippy-toe on eggshells or whatever it is, and so that's internalizing into them as their children, and they take that blame on board that they've actually done something wrong. And as you say, it's not blaming your parents, because as I say, parents do the best job they can of bringing up their children with where they're at in their life, the upbringing they've had, the tools they've got, what their situation is, and if they're not in a great space, well, that's what comes through into the family life. But with the tools they've got at the time they're in, they're trying to be the best parents they can. And if if they're not a good parent, well, it's where they were in their life, and it's nothing to do with you as a child, but you're just a child, so you don't understand that. It's easy to blame yourself as a child. So yes, a lot of bearing in our life does go back to when you're a child. And I think it was J.K. Rowling said, when you're old enough, when you've got your hands on the steering wheel, it's time to take the responsibility for your own life. So let go that blame game. When's it time to let go of your parents? Let go of them now. When you're at that stage, you're driving the driver of your own life. Let go of the blame game of your parents. And we mentioned before, you are 100% responsible for the life that you have. So you've got to get the tools that will help you make the right decision. And it's about that knowing exactly what you want, isn't it? So once you know what you want, well, then you've got to get it. And there is so much help out there, and all the tools that you can actually have anything you want if you want it enough.
Absolutely. And I'm here like you are to work with people who know that they're here on the planet at this time for a special reason. And I know there's a lot of people out there that feel that way and are looking like I did for purpose. But I've shared this before, but to me, I've come up with a definition of purpose is doing what you love and sharing it. It's as simple as that. It doesn't have to be Mother Teresa. It's just doing what you love and sharing it, whether you're a chef, whether you're a school teacher, whatever it is, that is purpose. And we can all have it.
Okay, we've all got skills and talents to share. So in your, you also love to write blogs. You're an inspirational speaker, and you love to interview inspiring women as well, and to share their wisdom on real life topics that we all can relate to. So we're living in this great technology era, and our reach in the world is just limitless. So do you find that this is a big advantage in your business, this time in our life we're living in with all the technology that's available?
Absolutely. I mean, there's so much great stuff you can access on the internet. I guess the only downside is that sometimes you can feel like it's so big that how do you get seen, or how do you get known, or things like that. So I guess it's going back to that, just feeling really confident in yourself and just knowing that the right people will find you and hear the message at the right time for them.
And I think, that you can get caught in that trap of being a real information overload as well. You can keep Googling, you can keep doing all these things because there's so much information out there, and it stops you as well taking action. So you've got to be able to stop. There's a time you've researched enough, actually, again, take some action. You've got to do something else.
Right.
It's never gonna stay. That is still just an excuse that you're using to not get going. So, just to finish, is there any last bit of advice that you might have, or do you have any special mantras or quotes or anything else you want to share?
Yeah, just look at yourself in the mirror in the morning. Every time you walk past the mirror, and smile at yourself. Sometimes that can be really hard for people. I know it used to be for me, and just give yourself the words that you needed to hear. Be your own loving parent. If you didn't have those words said to you, give them to yourself. And the more you do it, the more it just becomes who you are, not just words, but it becomes embedded in you. So whether it's I am enough, I'm worthy. Whatever it is that you wanted to hear when you were a child, I really recommend you start giving those words to yourself, and your life will change. It really will.
Well, thank you, Suzie, for sharing your story with us today. And I know that it will inspire many other women to make a decision to take some action, to get the confidence and belief that they are enough and that they do have the strength and courage to get what they most want, to achieve their goals by breaking down those limiting beliefs. So now time for you all to step up and take action. So as they say, if you do nothing, you get nothing. So I want you all to do something now, just one small step. So when you get off from this, listening to this interview, do something. So have a great day, everyone, and thank you for listening. If you could please share this interview with your friends. As I said, my mission is to help as many women as I can to create the life that they want for themselves. So this brings us to the end of our session today. So bye for now from Suzie and myself, and we look forward to catching up with you all some other time. Bye.